Right now, everybody's waiting on the Bitcoin ETFs to start sending Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies shooting off to the moon. But it seems like everybody's forgotten about the driving force that has been sending stuff like stocks and cryptocurrencies and hard assets like real estate and gold to the moon over the past couple of decades, and that's government spending. And now it looks like the government is getting ready to spend another $118 billion in one day. According to this article on Axios, a bipartisan group of senators has hashed out a border deal to appease Republicans. An initial vote is expected this week. It says Republicans are divided on whether to support additional aid for Ukraine. Well, I think if you are divided on whether to support Ukraine any further, then maybe you're not a Republican. But the answer should definitely be no, obviously. We've already sent way too much damn money to Ukraine, and the people over here in America are struggling. What about the U.S. citizens? It says the package includes $60 billion for supporting Ukraine, $14 billion for Israel, and $4.8 billion for the Indo-Pacific. Also, an additional $10 billion is earmarked for humanitarian assistance for civilians in Gaza, the West Bank, Ukraine, and other populations. So let's do a little bit of math here. We've got $60 billion for Ukraine, plus $14 billion for Israel, plus $4.8 billion for the Indo-Pacific, and another $10 billion for just all of them. That makes $88.8 billion for Ukraine, Israel, and the Indo-Pacific, and that only leaves $29.2 billion for our own border. So we're spending almost $90 billion to secure everybody else's border, but our own border is only going to get basically some leftover scraps. It says the cost for border policy changes comes to $20 billion for transportation, for deportation, and for concentration camps. Shelters. More than 4,000 new asylum officers, more border agents to continue helping these immigrants to climb over the razor wire, I guess, anti-fentanyl trafficking efforts, and other resources. And don't be fooled, this is just the beginning. I'm sure they're going to find all kinds of other ways to keep spending billions of dollars on everybody else's border and then just sprinkling a little bit of dust on ours. But this year is an election year, and you know they're going to be spending all kinds of money to try to buy those votes. And since the economy has been falling off of a cliff rapidly, and I don't think they're going to get that much taxes this year, they're going to have no other choice but to print all that money, and the only place they can get it is from the Fed. And they're going to have to add to their balance sheet, which means that Bitcoin is going to skyrocket. It's just a matter of time until that happens. It might take a few more months because they do have tax season right now, which means they're going to have a little bit of money to blow through before the Fed starts having to add back to the balance sheet. But whenever that happens, they're going to have to drop interest rates drastically, and they're going to have to flood the whole system with liquidity, meaning that hard assets are going to shoot up in price, and your hard-earned money is going to continue to be devalued out of existence. It goes on to say that this new supposed bipartisan package requires all asylum seekers to be detained or placed in tracking programs until they pass that initial interview or are granted asylum in what would be an expedited 6-month process in total. The package includes emergency authority to automatically turn back illegal border crossers into Mexico when the weekly average for encounters reaches 4,000 a day. Well, since they're illegal in the first place, I would say that the threshold should be 0 because they shouldn't be coming over the border illegally anyway. There's a process for that, and there's a lot of people who have been trying to get that done the right way, who have been waiting years and years, and this is just a spit in their face to let all of these criminals come over the border with no kind of filter of any freaking kind. It's absurd, and it has to be stopped right now. It says the bill also includes a pathway to permanent status for Afghans, which shouldn't have a damn thing to do with the southern border crisis because Afghans are not our border to the south. To me, it looks like this is actually just to fund Ukraine and Israel and legalize all illegal immigrants package, and we're all going to be footing the bill. So the only option is to escape this stupid financial system that our damn government is running, and the only option to do that is to get into Bitcoin. As they continue to devalue our currency out of existence, it's only a matter of time until everybody figures that out. And if you have figured that out before everybody else, then you're probably going to make life-changing money and not just be able to keep up with inflation like so many other people will hopefully be able to do. The longer you wait, though, the more money the government is going to be able to steal from you. So I'm going to just continue to dollar cost average and buy every dip that I can because I know the government has a spending problem that's just getting worse, and eventually they're not even going to be able to service the debt that they got. Another thing that I've kind of been thinking about to do with this Texas border crisis and cryptocurrency is that if the crisis continues to escalate, we could see the federal government trying to hold funds from Texas and other states that have sent their National Guard to Texas for support. And if this happens, the states might have to actually look for another way to start funding their operations. During the Civil War, the southern states actually had their own currency, and if the federal government actually cuts off the flow of funds to the states, then what kind of currencies is the southern states going to use? Well, they could just make their own currency again like they did during the previous Civil War, or they could actually just start to adopt a currency that already has a really strong infrastructure, is basically unhackable, and is immutable, so basically the federal government couldn't stop them from using it. Obviously, I'm talking about Bitcoin, and I think that it could play a vital role in that kind of a situation. We already saw Bitcoin funding the protests in Canada whenever the government shut down funds and their bank accounts. So we've seen that it can work in the past, and I think that we're probably going to see it again in the future. And while maybe this southern border crisis isn't going to get to that point right now, I think we're still going to be seeing Bitcoin used to escape government tyranny around the world, and it might start to become a more frequent thing as it seems like the world is continuing to fall deeper into chaos. So let me know in the comments how long you think it's going to be until the government spending causes Jerome Powell to crank back up the money printer, and do you actually think that the Texas situation is going to be a catalyst that could have anything to do with that? Or do you think that the whole thing is blown out of proportion and the government has everything under control? Yeah, right. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. But most importantly, don't forget to have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.